when his regime, before 9/11, he was a total joke. They had TV shows in America called "That's My Bush," making fun of how dumb he was. 9/11 happens. Him and his whole cronies decide we're going to take this and use it to dethrone what's his name from Iran, Iraq.
Saddam
Hussein.
Yeah.
And they have documented proof of the generals sitting in the war room with him going, Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with this. And then Dick Cheney going, no, he did it. They wanted to go to war to Iraq to steal the oil. And seriously, it sounds so cliche, but that's what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And they did it. And they just laughed in the American people's face when it came time for the trials of the committee for the 9/11 committee. Everybody's interviewed. They go to interview George Bush and Dick Cheney, and they go Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney lays down like goes, you can interview both of us, but only when we're sitting in the room together. No one's allowed to ask questions. If there's questions you ask that we don't want to answer, we don't have to, and nobody hears what we say. So what the fuck is that? And they were allowed one photograph, and in the photograph you see George Bush is sitting like this, like a little kid, and Dick Cheney's leaning forward, really angry, staring at the interviewer like, yeah, go ahead. I dare you to fucking ask me something.
Yeah.
And that's what they did. They just pissed in America's face and the world's face. Like, we'll do what the fuck we want. We'll take all the money we want. Fuck you, fuck you.
Yeah. So
it made us very angry, and I'm still angry.
I noticed that you're still fucking angry, but a lot of things have changed, even to New York, the New York scene. How would you describe, like the last decade, what happened to New York hardcore and maybe influenced you in your work?
I think a lot of good has happened, where a lot of young bands and older bands kept going or got back together and didn't just get back together. They're like, hey, let's do a high-price reunion show and fuck it. But some of them get back together and still continue just to play in the New York area because they're older and they have jobs and they can't tour anywhere. Like I said, young good bands, people taking control. Like Freddie and a bunch of guys formed this thing called the Black and Blue Productions, and
Freddie from Madball.
Freddie Madball. They do a radio show every Tuesday night on eastvillageradio.com, which you can listen to online, and it's hilarious. It's a bunch of guys cursing and yelling. They do put on big shows, small shows. They book a lot of worldwide bands that come through New York. But it's not just them. There's other people putting on shows in Brooklyn and Long Island. And the worst things that have happened is there's really no center anymore. There's no CBGBs. That's gone. It's been gone for a few years now, but we haven't seen each other in 10 years.
Yeah, I know.
And there's no other clubs like that anymore in Manhattan. So now you have to go to Brooklyn, to Queens, to Long Island to get a club like CBGB. But there's not one place. See, CBs, no matter... they stopped having matinees, whatever, but every time there was a hardcore show or a hardcore punk-related show, everybody went there.
Yeah, I know.
And now you have a great show in Brooklyn, but, 10 guys, people from New Jersey are like, that's fucking far, and these guys from Long Island, and then there's a great show in Long Island, but hey, that's really far,
So,
there's no center. That's the only thing. No physical center.
Last time I was down in New York, people always told me go to Avenue HD and you'll find hardcore live. So that has gone too, or
there's places. There's Jimmy from Murphy's Law and Vinny have the New York Hardcore Tattoo Shop. There's a couple of bars down there that everybody goes and hangs out at. One of them is Manitoba's. It's called. He's from an old New York punk band called the Dictators, Dick Manitoba, and he has a bar there that. A lot of the hardcore guys, if you go in there, you'll see Paul from Sheer Terror, you'll see guys from Madball, you'll see guys from Upper Side, you'll see all these people there,
Oh, okay. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So, you are already a father,
just recently, I have a little girl. She's born right before we came on tour, so she was a month old when I left, and she'll be 2 months old when I get back.
Oh, cool. So congratulations to you. So what do you think what will you tell her what your motivation in life was when she will turn like 15 and ask you, what did you do?
My motivation?
Yeah.
Just follow what you love, you know? That's what I'll tell her.
So that would be your guidance to her.
Yeah. Follow what you love. You know, you have to be aware of society. You know, I mean, it's funny that we're talking about this because we just played Greece and there was this whole backlash of Greece is a very divided scene where there's people who are very, you have to be on the ground, do it yourself, you know, anarchist punk, and then there's just the a hardcore scene that's kind of like here in Germany, where it's a little mix of the both. But I would tell her that you do what you follow your heart, but you know you have to deal with society too. You can't just be a hermit, and you know.
Yeah.
So I would just want her to follow what she really loves.
Great. So right now you're touring, and you will have a break like after the next two shows.
Yeah, we do 2 shows. We go home for about a week.
Back to New York, relaxing a bit, I
Yeah,
guess.
see the baby.
Yeah. And what are your plans with Sick of It All? I mean, you did even a documentary on Sick of It All already. What are the next steps for Sick of It All?
They keep trying to film more stuff. They want to do a continuation of it, like what we've been doing and all that. But I don't know. It just never. It's never right. It's like the record company wants one thing, you know, and we don't care. We we filmed a bunch of shows, and they loved it. The footage was great, but they go like, why don't you film the show in Germany where there was, you know, 5,000 people, or film this show in the festival where you played in front of 70,000? We're like, what's the big deal? We're the same in a big stage or a small stage. But they want to, you know, industry people want to impress the industry. Because if they show a video of, oh, here's Sick of It All, with 70,000 people going crazy, the industry people will be like, oh, I like that band. But if they show them the same, us doing the same show in front of 200 people going crazy, they'll be like, yeah, so what, 200 people.
Yeah, I know, and Sick of It All always kept to the ground, playing big venues and small venues with their tours, right?
Yeah, we do that all the time. We do mainly festivals for the reason of exposing hardcore to other things. When we got to do the Dynamo festivals way back in Holland, back in the day when they had them, it was exciting for us to be like, there's some glam rock band that has a huge MTV hit in America going on before us, and we're like, we're 4 kids from Queens, New York, who just play insane hardcore, and we'd get up there and play it, and the place would go crazy. And it was so refreshing to us that, like, wow, these people who were just singing along to this fucking rock band turned around and loved everything we did. And that's why we love to do festivals. We get to expose our music to, you know, different people.
Yeah. I guess that's a big motivation to be able to do it and to be able to continue to do it.
Yeah. It's not easy. All right. It's not easy. You know, trying every year coming up with you know, things to write about. I mean, it is, but it's trying not to write the same thing over and over. I mean, when I sit down to write lyrics, right away I'll start writing something. Oh shit, that sounds like Just Look Around. You know, I'm talking about the same subject, even though those subjects haven't really changed in the world. I try to write a different way about them. I mean, that's like with the latest album, based on a true story. We started writing, and like you said, Death to Tyrants is very angry, very political, and we have political songs on the new record, but I started writing stuff about, like, growing up, like CBGB's. Month of Sundays is written about the CBGB's matinees and how great it was. Armine wrote the song Death or Jail about all of us growing up together, and our one friend, who was my best friend at the time, he got into being a drug dealer gangster. And he went off and murdered somebody and went to jail, and then he stopped talking to us when he got out, and we never could understand why he did that. Instead of just hanging out, he would come to CB's with us, and he loved the shows, but then he would just rather be a drug dealer, you know, just stuff like that. So we try to keep things fresh by changing, you know, subjects and all that. But there's always, you know, because being a hardcore band, and it's, you know, I hate to say there's limitations or there's rules you have to follow, which you really don't, but I always think you have to have some sort of social consciousness when you're a hardcore band, you know?
Well, I thank you for the interview. We'll hang out later on, I guess.
Yeah.
And I hope that you pretty much enjoy the show, that you
I
get
think
those.
it's going to be great. It
yeah.
looks good. If you can, film